All right, Debbie Reid, Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Welcome, Miss Debbie.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure and our honor. We appreciate your time, effort, and energy. Talk to me. Tell me what's going on in Wyoming.
What's going on in Wyoming? Well, you know, the real estate market is about the same here as it is everywhere else. Just fewer people that you have to deal with. The weather's great. So
I'm just curious, is Wyoming a home for your family, or you guys moved there, or what's the deal?
Well, I've been here since '76, and I was in school when my father got transferred here.
Got
I
it.
wanted to stay in Colorado, but I was only 16 and my parents wouldn't let me do that.
Got it. Okay. So you guys all moved. Did he move for business or opportunity?
For business.
What kind of work did he do?
He did oil field sales. We have a lot of gas and oil in Wyoming.
Yeah. And they still do.
That's right.
And they also have a lot of houses, and you sell a number of them.
Yes, I do.
So give us a little bit of a Reader's Digest version of how you got started in the business, and you know, where you started, where you come from, and where you're going.
Okay, so I had just gotten married to my second husband, and he had been working for a developer here in town. And I had been working at the Casper Housing Authority for about 13 years, and some of you may know what that does. And actually working at a housing authority for 13 years, you probably had enough of it. So I want to do something different. So he said, well, come up here and sell real estate. And I thought, well, what the heck, why not? So of course I get my license and I go into the office, and there's hardly anybody there, and didn't seem like a lot of things going on because I like things pretty fast paced and moving a lot. So I had a buyer, and I had actually sold that buyer a house of another agent who had gone to high school with. So my biggest issue was I didn't know what to say to people. So I asked, and this guy's name was Jim. I asked him, I said, you know, what do you say? I just don't know any. And he picked up a flyer that he had on his desk. It was a flyer of Mike Ferry, who was going to be in Denver 2 weeks from that week. He said, you know, you might just want to go see this guy. So I did. And I will share with you, I was ecstatic because that's when they had the trigger cards and they were right on your chair.
Right.
I thought, I now know what to say. So of course I went through the class. Class was great. I go back home. And some of you are going to laugh at, but this is the truth. So I went up, we had a 2-story home we were living in. I went up to the master bedroom, pulled the phone, sat down on the floor and read the scripts and started calling because I thought, well, I can call. Had a lot of people ask me, is this a recording?
Really?
I really did. Because I had no training.
It sounded like a recording?
Yeah, you know, and I had no training. I was just reading it to them. So what happens when you go to an event, which all of you guys know, when you go to Mike Ferry event, you get in their system and then people call you to try to sell you coaching. So this guy got a hold of me and I just couldn't get him off the phone. So I just said, sure, why not? What the heck? And that was when they had business planning. So I was in business planning. So then they started working with me on how to say the scripts and those types of things. And it was amazing. Now I had done deals just reading it from them, but not that many deals. It was amazing though, the difference when you learn how to say the scripts and speak them properly, the better results you get.
So Debbie, when you started in the business and you were pretty green at the time, you know, you got business from open houses and floor time and that kind of stuff, right?
That would be mainly now the people. Well, actually, my first buyers actually came from relatives or relatives of people I knew or people I knew.
Okay. So past client, or so not past client, but sphere of influence.
Right.
Got it. Okay. And how many transactions you do your first year?
My first year, I did 36.
36 transactions your first year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, and you were just goofing around. You didn't know
Well,
really how to sell,
half
right?
of it was goofing around, half of it was in coaching.
Oh. So you got started in coaching very early on in your first year.
I did. And you know what? I'm so grateful because I did not have time to develop any bad habits.
Okay, good stuff. All right. So how long was it before you got into coaching? A few months or 6 months?
It was probably maybe 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So it was pretty quick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you jumped into it. Now, were you taking listings or still only working with buyers or a little bit of mixed?
You know, I had a couple of listings, but again, it was from people I knew.
So what year was this?
Well, go back 26 years from now.
Too much math.
I know, too much for me too.
Yeah, somebody's got a calculator. So 26 years ago, you did this. You stepped
1996.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, I should have known that. I hope my wife's not listening. I got married in 98. Okay. So in 1996, you did 36 transactions. Debbie, in any realm of doing business, 36 transactions is a lot. For a brand new person in her first year, I know as people that you knew, but I mean, that's a lot. Most people don't do that. You used to coach for Mike, right?
Well, I still do.
Still do? Okay.
I just do it part-time now. I used to coach full-time.
Got it. Okay. So you have a lot of people that do 36 transactions in their first year? Not many, right?
Maybe half of the new ones that I have. Normally right now I coach ones that have been in for a while, but okay. I would say if I look at the new ones, maybe half of them.
Good. And what are they doing that's getting them 25, 30 transactions?
Well, of course, they're prospecting because it's the ones that prospect who do the most business. They work their database.
Okay.
They're not afraid to call an expired or for sale by owner.
Got it.
They're just doing what Mike said, practice their scripts.
Okay.
And of course, they have high goals.
Okay. So they're kind of doing their job.
Right.
So when people have all those opportunities and they have those tools and they're not getting it done, what do you find as a coach and top agent that is the problem?
Well, I would believe it would be one of three things. It's either number one, a mindset issue, okay. Number two, a skill issue, or number three, a work ethic issue.
So mindset, skill, and work ethic.
Right.
Now, in your experience, the skill, does mindset and work ethic, are they close together in your opinion, or are they complete?
I would say yes, they are, because if there's something that you really want, you feel you're strong, you know you're good. My belief is that you'll work and give it your all.
Okay.
If you have a weak mindset, you're not sure, you're a little unconfident, you're afraid. I see that a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll just share with you. So I'm coaching these two gals. They're on a team. They're new, and they weren't getting many results. A lot of contacts on their number analyzer, but not many results. So we just looked at their day and found out that they were working between 3 and 5 hours a day.
Total.
That's it.
Okay.
Everything. So now this week, their job is to work full 8 hours. So on Monday, we'll see if they did that.
You mean some people actually don't put in a full 8 hours?
Yeah.
Robert, take a note, Robert.
You and I both know that's true.
Oh, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so what's 3 things that can help with their mindset? What are you working on there?
Well, and I'm just going to be really honest with you. The things I teach are the things I learned from Mike, because that's all I know. I haven't been to any other trainers. I haven't been to any other coaching programs, anything like that. So the first thing we work on is get them into reading very inspiring books, because that tends to have them believe that they can do it. And if they believe they can do it, they can.
Okay.
The next thing, we do a lot of affirmations, which I think are very powerful. Second, they've got to set some goals that they want to achieve. And we pin it down to, when do you want to have it? What day? How much is it? How many deals is that? This month, how many of those deals will you do? How long will it take you to get there? Is that too long? If it is, then what do we need to do? You need to talk to more people. You need to get better on your skills. What is it?
Okay, good. Excellent. And then when you're talking about the skills, does previewing property, is that a skill?
I believe it is.
Okay. Talk to me. Tell me why you think that.
Well, and so I've even noticed it myself. So I shared with you that I coached, I sold real estate for 7 years. Then I coached full-time for Mike Ferry for 7 years. And then I came back out on the real estate market. Well, in 7 years, the prices had changed.
Right.
There were new neighborhoods built around the area that I knew, but I had not seen the inside the houses. You can preview some on the MLS, but it wasn't until I actually went in that now I know what they look like. So it helps you in several ways. One, it helps you if you have a buyer. And I'm hoping if you have buyers, you guys are doing buyer consultations and making sure they're qualified before you show them anything. But it will help you with if they pick out a house that that's not going to work with them. And my belief is you don't want to tell them, no, we don't want to see it. I would just question and say, okay, I can appreciate that. 4 bedrooms, you told me you want 5. And then see what their response is. And what you'll find, and you might have to question 2 or 3 times, they'll say, you know what, I don't think it's going to work. Because the other thing is you got to know the value of your time. And I like efficiency. So if I'm working, I want to make sure I'm going to be compensated. And I'm actually not, so I look at it this way. I'm not a tour guide. So a coach said to me when I was in full-time coaching, you need to learn how to sell a buyer and show them only 3 houses. And when he told me that, I thought, you have got to be kidding me. Got to be kidding me. It can be done if you pay attention to your buyer and you know your market.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sorry, what was the last part?
And that can be done as long as you know what your buyer wants and you know your market.
Okay, so talk more about the pre-qualifying your buyer and the buyer consultation.
Well, as you probably know, we used to have a program in a sub-program in the Mike Ferry, the buyer agent program.
Right.
So, I just want to know every aspect of it. And I didn't have a buyer agent at that time, but I took the program right along with my regular coaching. So it would give you a questionnaire. It's a 4-page questionnaire of questions you should ask them when they first come in. And then, of course, I always believed, I was taught when you get a license, says you get your disclosure signed right up front. So I would do it at the same time. And then we have what we call a buyer agent contract. So I think, if we're going to be working together, you should hire me. And I get that signed. So we were all signed, ready to roll.
And it's just an attitude.
Yeah. And the thing is nobody would not sign it. They all signed it.
So were you the only one in town doing that, or was everybody in town doing that?
Well, I don't think the others were, or not very many of them. And here's the reason why. Because this was when you still had to go to class in a group. So it was a long time ago, you guys. You couldn't take it online or anything like that. So in continuing education, we would have people up here from the commission, and they would say, it's amazing how many agents in Casper have a buyer and the first day they sell them a house. So what they were saying is, we know you're not getting it signed when you meet them. You're getting it signed when you write the offer.
Got it. So we recommend this. We run recommend the buyer brokerage. What we hear all the time, that's why I asked you this question, all the time is, well, no one else in my market does it, so therefore I can't do it. Okay? But you dispelled that where nobody in your market was doing it, and you did it and got it signed every time.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Good for you. Good stuff. Okay, so through this process, you were shifting from working with buyers to working with sellers. Are you only working sellers now? When did that actually happen? And talk a little bit about when did you start back up selling again?
Well, it would have been in 2015.
Okay.
Is when I came back out to sell real estate.
Okay.
I discovered real quick, I better start previewing some property, because as I shared with you, there'd been some new construction. I knew where it was, didn't really know the streets there. But when you go out previewing, you start learning that, and then you know the areas. And if you pay attention to your buyer and pay attention to the property in the area, when you're doing the buyer consultation, you should pretty much, anyway, this is just my thought, and maybe it's weird, but anyway, I think you would pretty much know which neighborhood that they're going to be going to.
But see, Debbie, a lot of real estate agents that I've been exposed to, not the people on this channel, but they come into real estate, they've never previewed a house, they don't know what's going on in the neighborhood, they don't know where the schools are, and they think previewing property is for everyone else. Here, you're a veteran, you did 7 years worth of business, then you took 7 years and coached it, and you came back into it, and you had to preview property to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope everyone on this call hears that, because things change and you need to know what's going on in the marketplace to be able to compete at a very high level. So Debbie, when you stopped selling the first time around, how many transactions were you doing?
I was on track to do 147.
So that was the first 7 years. Okay. So 147, any buyer's agents, any assistants?
I had one assistant.
One assistant. Okay. And then you coached and didn't do any transactions, and any past client sphere people, anything like that?
Yeah, it would be random, maybe 1 or 2 deals a year, just very random.
Okay. And then back in 2015, you started selling again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To make the money, or you just got bored, or what?
So this is what happened. And I'll tell you, when I did this, I didn't think through the process. So that was when the market was down, and I kept hearing from all my clients that they can't set any appointments. And this is when we had a ton of expireds. And I'm sure if anybody was selling in that year, you know what I was talking about. There's a ton of expireds, and it just didn't make sense to me. So I thought, okay, I took a Saturday, I rolled up the expireds in where I live, and I thought, I'm just going to call through and see what I get. Well, I set 10 appointments that Saturday morning.
Oh my gosh.
But then after I did that, because I thought, yay, I can show my clients, when I coached it, I told them I know somebody who did this, didn't tell them it was me. But after I did that, I thought, well, crud, I have no pre-list packages. So I spent all Sunday figuring that one out. So then I came out, and I think within a week and a half, I'd gone on all 10 appointments. I had signed all 10.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? This is kind of fun.
and profitable.
Well, and you're right. And I thought, maybe I'll just go out and do this real estate again. So that's how that switch happened. So
we're last year, 2021, how many closed deals?
Last year, I did about 73.
So that's 2021. And what are you on track for in 22?
89.
Got it.
And I coached 16 people.
And still coach 16 people.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Coaching 16 people isn't quite part-time, but okay. That could be a full-time job in itself. Good for you. This is fantastic. So tell me, what's your superpower, Debbie?
Okay, so define that a little bit more.
Well, if I opened up a Marvel comic book and you had, something that's definitely Debbie, that is not Neo or Robert or Armin, it's you, that distinguishes you from others.
All right, I would say that it's the listing presentation.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, okay, so it's all the power of your presentation and when I say power, I don't mean beating them over the head. I don't mean any of that. It's more of engaging with your client.
Okay. And
paying attention to them. And so I don't get any objections. I have a 98% list ratio.
98%?
Well, 98.6, but yeah, I do. And I've had a high one for a long, long time, but I just think that it's engaging with your client, listen to what they say, do the best job you can, be honest, because we have them do surveys all the time. And one of the things that they'll put down is that I'm very straightforward.
Okay.
I don't sugarcoat a lot of things, but it doesn't come off as gruff. It doesn't come off as me being mean to them or a jerk. They take it like it's meant to be to help them.
Very cool.
And I think that's the difference.
You use a pre-qualifying script?
All the time. Never do a presentation without pre-qualifying.
So never do a presentation without pre-qualifying. How about the pre-listing package?
Always.
Okay. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't get the package? Now, is it delivered or emailed first?
You never email it.
Okay, never email it. You always have it delivered.
Yes.
Got it. And has there ever been a time where that didn't happen for 1,000 different reasons and the deal kind of went south? Has that ever happened to you?
There's never been a time when they didn't get the pre-list package. They always have gotten it. There was one time that I didn't pre-qualify him and he was coming into my office to do the listing presentation.
Right.
Yet I had tried. I had called him all that morning. I'd called the night before, never got a hold of him. So here's what I did. I made a copy of the pre-qual script. I went in, I pre-qualified him, and I just write his answers down. And then he knows what I'm reading from it, and I'm writing his answers down. I said, okay, great. I'll be right back. I went back in my office. I got everything I needed for the presentation and went in and did the presentation.
And still got the pre-qual and got the listing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Good for you. So is your business that you're getting now past client and sphere? So some of the agents would say, well, they know her, they like her, they're going to give her the listing anyway. Or are you doing what we call cold business also? What are you running into there?
So my past client centers of influence is about 52% of my business. Okay. The rest is all new business that I go find. And a lot of it, I'll be honest with you guys, is for sale by owners. I loved for sale by owners when I sold first time. I love for sale by owners now. They are the greatest people to work with.
Fantastic. Why do you say that? Because most people would look at for sale by owners and think they're terrible and eat their firstborn.
I know it. I hear that all the time and I don't understand. And I say that because I think it's an attitude that you have towards them. I've heard Mike say over and over, never make them wrong. Because quite honestly, they're doing the best they can that they know of. So I always look at it this way. If I was not in real estate, I would have no clue what to do to sell a home. None.
Right.
And it doesn't matter to me if they have told me that they've sold their homes before. I congratulate them. Congratulations to you. You should be very proud of yourself. But I go out to see them. I take my pre-list package with them. I can't say I get the appointment the first time. It's probably about 50-50. 50% I will. But the others, I'll drop by, see them, and I have my pre-list package. And I get to take a look at the home. I will go over a few things because here's my favorite closing. If you knew there was a plan that was actually designed to net you more money than you could by selling it yourself, would you want to know about that plan? So,
yeah. And you get yes more often than you get no, correct?
Right. So exactly. It's easy to get in through the door. And so I just go over my listing plan of action with them. Now, I also X the items that we do that the majority of the other agents don't do. So you guys know now a lot of those points are X'd. And my listing plan of action isn't any much different than what Mike Ferry has on his website. That's the truth. It's true. And so after I get done with that, here's a question that I get about 95% of the time. What price would you list my house at? And I just, you know what a great question. What I'd like to do, if it's all right with you, is I'm going to put together a market analysis. I know you know what that is. I'm going to take your home, compare it to other similar homes that are recently listed and sold. We're going to make adjustments for condition, square footage, and amenities. And then we'll get back together and go over it. I'm not going to call you on the phone and tell you what it says. I want you to see the numbers. And then what we're also going to look at is other homes in a similar price point, because that's our competition. And we need to be better than that. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah.
And they say, yeah. And that's what they say. And I say, okay, you know, depending on when I'm out, I'll call you when I get back to the office. We'll set up a time to meet, or I call them the next morning because sometimes I see them at 5 o'clock at night.
Right.
So I call them up, pre-qualify them, but they come into my office now and I do the presentation here.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So you're bringing them into your office.
Right. Yeah, because I don't need to go back out to the house. I've seen it already.
You've already seen the house. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Great stuff. Excellent. So, Debbie, will you take a few questions right now?
Sure.
Great. Okay. So questions for Debbie Reid. Debbie Reid in Casper. You're still in Casper, right?
I am.
Casper, Wyoming. How many people did Casper?
About 57,000.
I bet you can say 57.
That's what Mike Ferry says.
Yeah, 57, all of them. All right, questions for Debbie Reid. Just raise a hand. Okay, Monica. Monica?
Yes, sorry. Hi, Debbie. Thank you so much. I was curious about your approach with FSBOs. Do you automatically go in for the preview to go see the home, or do you try to schedule a listing appointment? And then if you cannot, you still try to schedule a preview to see the home?
I follow the list. Okay, you guys, I follow all the scripts. Because again, remember, I didn't know what to say. The scripts tend to work for me. And I don't think I'm so special, but I think they work for everybody. So I just follow the script. But when I do get to that point of the question, you know, why did you decide to sell yourself rather than list with a powerful agent like myself? They give me random answers, but it's all about saving the commission or netting the most money. And it's worked for me, and I've just done it that way.
Awesome. Good stuff. Great question. Thank you, Monica. You bet. Okay, other questions for Debbie, please.
Josie?
Go ahead, Josie. Thank you.
Debbie Reid, I have seen you for years at the Mike Ferry events, and you look great. Thank you so much for presenting to us. I love how you really enforced to us just using the scripts.
Yeah, that's all it is.
You make it sound so easy to go to a sale by owner. Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you, Josie. Abigail.
Debbie, I'm curious to know, what is it that you have your new agents do during the 48 hours that you're asking them to work?
Okay, now new agents, like you're losing me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or the agents.
The agents that I coach.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Now I've got it. Okay.
Are there specific amount of hours that they prospect per day, or?
Well, okay, everybody's different. So the people I coach, it's not the same thing for Mary as it will be for Ellen, because it depends on their goals. It depends on what they want to accomplish. So what I do know is I know the numbers and I know how many people you should have to talk to take a listing. So I share that with my clients. This is what, if you want to take 10 listings, this is probably how it's going to work out. Now, of course, we have the number analyzer, and the number analyzer will tell you instantly how everything is coming along. So then I know if we need to work on our skills, if I need to know who you're talking to. It's not the same thing for everybody, I guess is what I'm saying. And you probably don't want to hear that answer, but that's the truth.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Abigail. Appreciate it. Margaret.
Hi, Debbie, Coach.
Hey there.
So glad to see you here. Never changed for the last 14 years, I think. When you coach me.
Probably.
Thank you so much. So glad to see you here. So can you repeat one more time when you go to visit the Bisbal and you're talking about, if I could get more money than you want, and what else you scripts?
No, when I go, I ask them, I just go in, of course, I greet them. Now, you guys, I can be very charming, and you should be very charming and also respectful of their house. So I always ask, would you like me to take my shoes off? They'll tell you yes or no. If I see white carpet and they tell me no, I'm kind of like, oh, well, I see this carpet. So there's been homes I've gone in and I think, oh my God, I don't want to touch anything. I still ask them, do you want me to take my shoes off? Thank God they say no. But you just have to be respectful, kind to them, but just know that you have the knowledge to help them. And then you just got to demonstrate that to them without shoving it down their throat.
But just now you mentioned about the price, the same price, and you're competing with the same price owners.
Okay, same price owners. So, all right, I'm just going to ask you guys, for sale by owners, are they normally too high or too low, or are they priced right?
Too high.
Generally slightly high.
Bingo. So when we get back together in my office and we go over the analysis, and it's laid out in a form and it shows, here's the adjustment for the square footage, here's the adjustment for the number of bedrooms. Honestly, how can you argue with that? There's nothing in there about my opinion of the house. It's all laid out. So they understand that their price wasn't right. I've never had a for sale by owner come in my office, go over the CMA with me and not sign the contract.
Powerful.
And I would say it's because when you go over the listing presentation and you're going to show them all these things that you're going to do for them, do you think they're doing those? They're not. No, they got their sign out front and they've got their thing on Zillow. That's it. Is there more on your list, on your plan of action than those two things?
Okay. Yes.
But you may have to explain why each step is so important and what it does, such as calling 35 people every day and talking to them. Why is that important? Well, your neighbors know people want to move here. Now they get it. And then you've got to be calm too. Don't be anxious. Here's one of the things I've noticed the most of the people I coach, because I do role plays with them. And one of the things we role play is a listing presentation. You talk too fast. You've got to slow it down. You got to remember these people have not heard a listing presentation. So if you want to be able to be more powerful, you need to slow it down, because when you slow it down, you have now more time to put emphasis on certain words. You can give it the pause that it needs. It's just more powerful that way. Yet you don't come off as being mean or gruff.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Very, very nice. Josie, let me go to Matab and then I'll come to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Debbie, thank you so much for being here. Neil, as usual, you rock for organizing this. I love it. It's so good to see you, Debbie. I look forward to seeing you in July. First of all, thank you for reminding me I need to put my ego on the side and I need to go more previewing. Being 16 years in the business, the ego gets in the way. So thank you for that reminder. 2 questions regarding the FSBO. I'm good in closing them face-to-face. I just want to improve on my level of closing them. Do you take something with you when you go previewing them the first time and leave with them? And if yes, what it is? And do you ever pre-qualify them when you're there? Try to set the appointment and pre-qualify them, or it's always you call back for a pre-qual?
Okay, so I always take my pre-list package with me, and it has the listing plan of action in it, and that's what I'm going to go over. That's the plan to net them more money. I leave the entire pre-list package with them. I don't pre-qualify them up front. I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but the reason I don't is I don't have my script there. Now, I've been doing this for a long time, but I want to make sure I get all my answers in there. So I'll go back to the office. When I call them back, then I pre-qualify because I've got the script right in front of me. You guys always have the scripts in front of me. And I probably could say it without looking, but I always have it in front of me. And I just fill out it like a questionnaire. So then what I can do is I can transfer that information over to the listing presentation, because you notice you're going to have to put some things in. You're moving to blank. You said you need to be there by blank. You'll blank on the home. Yeah, you just fill those in. So I've got all that filled in for the listing presentation. Now, Matab, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I haven't done it.
Okay. I usually have the pre-qual with me over there to sit down with them at the table to go through it and write my answers. The pre-list package, then everything is in it. The only thing it's missing then the CMA.
Right.
Okay. So you leave that with them. Great. Thank you. That's awesome.
All right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Any other questions? Eddie, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Eddie. Josie was next.
Thank you. Sorry, your pre-list package that you take with you is just that, not including any of the disclosures. Is that right?
Yeah, if I'm just going to go see a FSBO, I don't take any of that stuff. I just take my pre-list package and that's it. But now my pre-list package is what Mike says should be in it. So I've got my resume. I've got references. I don't have any testimonials, you guys. I only have references. I have the listing plan of action.
You don't have a CMA in there?
I don't take a CMA with me because that's what they're going to come to my office to get.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
You guys, one other thing I'd like to say, and I think this is so important, especially in this market. You know, I coached when the market was tanking big time, and Mike worked with us coaches on, you better teach all your clients how to present the market stats so that the sellers understand what's going on in the market. I taught that, so I know how to do that. I always, even in a good market, take my market stats and I will ask them 3, maybe 4 questions about the market stats, and then they understand what's going on. And that could be, I don't know why, but that could be why I don't have an issue with price when they come in to sign the contract.
All right, good stuff. Eddie, question for Debbie.
Yes, thank you, Debbie, for your knowledge and your time. I know you mentioned something about reading inspiring books. What book do you recommend, or list of books maybe?
Well, they're all the books Mike recommends. So are you in Mike Ferry coaching?
Yes.
Great. So you know he has a book club on his website.
Okay.
Good stuff. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate that question, Eddie. Okay, other questions for Debbie? Matab, you have your hand up again, or you're just like waving at me? All right. So.
Sorry, waving.
What?
Just waving.
I like it. You can wave at me anytime. So Debbie, quite a few people on here are new or newer. They've never seen a market that we're going into right now. You actually got in real estate in 2015 originally, or it was 7 years before that?
Well, my first time was in 1996. Did we come up with 1996?
Yeah, 19, yeah. So, okay, so 1996, you've seen a couple of these things we're going through right now.
I have.
However, most of the people on this channel right now have not. And they have no clue what they're looking at. A number of people are in, you know, if the property isn't sold in 2 weeks, they're freaking out. And you know, that's just not happening in a number of our markets today. What recommendations do you have, maybe 2 or 3 things that can either help a new person with their getting started or help maybe a medium veteran to move forward right now with all this craziness going on?
Okay, so before I share that, if I could just say, Mike Ferry would always say, pray for a downward market. And I remember him saying that the first time, and I thought, what in the world are you talking about? But you guys, it's the market you will thrive in if you will follow what he teaches. So you got to follow everything he does. And when it's the 5-step listing process, you need to do the 5 steps. Don't skip one. Very important. So what would I say? 1, get your market stats out. Start learning what questions to ask the seller so the seller can figure it out in 3 to 4 questions. That's all it takes, that they better price the home right. The second is be really, really good on your listing presentation. Be calm. So many times I think that, especially newer agents and myself included, because I did this too, was nervous, anxious. Well, that comes out. And if you're nervous and anxious, how do you think the seller's going to be? So remain calm. You know, there's a saying that Mike would always say, and I think it's from Jane, it's from the lady in Utah. I can't remember her name right now. Dark hair, real tall, but we are the calming force. You have to be the calming force is what you've got to be. So remember that. Then
Peyton was her last name.
That's right. Joan Pate.
Right.
Okay. The other thing, you're going to have to talk to more people, and that's just the truth. So if your goal is to do X number of deals and talk to 20 people, you better put it up to 30 or 35.
Well, they don't want to listen to that. You got anything else?
No, because that's what's going to do it. So sorry, guys.
We talk about that stuff all the time. They don't want to hear that. Come on,
of course not.
Have something else. Debbie, this has been absolutely fantastic. We appreciate you, your time, your effort, your experience, the fact that you've been a great role model for so many of us. We really do appreciate it. Let's unmute yourselves and give her a big hand. Woo! All right.
Thank you.
Good job.
Well, you guys are too kind. I appreciate all of you coming to this, and I hope you learned something today.
No, we did. Absolutely. In fact, we're going to talk about that right now. One of the things that we do, and you're welcome to stay, but if you have to have a hard stop, we understand it, is we'll now talk about what we learned from you. So we're going to take the next few minutes and do that. You're welcome to stay around, or if you have to go, you have to go. We get it. Again, thank you so much, Debbie.
I really do need to go, and thank you guys, and I hope to see all of you in Las Vegas in July.
That's the plan. All right. And we posted your name in the chat box with the cell phone number for any referrals that we can send your way too.
Oh, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks,
Thanks.
Bye. Take care. Okay, well, that was fantastic. What'd you guys learn?
Yeah, so Neil, Miguel here. It's so interesting every time I go on these calls, what I learn and small things that I can pick up on. And a friend of mine at the Mike Ferry retreat said, hey, Miguel, you've been doing this for 22 years. You've been going to Mike for 22 years. There's nothing new you're going to hear that's going to change. It's a matter of implementing. And when I listened to Debbie today, and she was talking about previewing property, it triggered the 90-day jumpstart your production plan that Mike Ferry had set up several years ago. And the truth is, I mean, if we really look at it, you know, it gives you an exact plan. And I dug it up, and I'm really gonna commit to doing this through the retreat and then 45 days after the retreat, because I think the retreat's about a month out. And the truth is it's all in the system. There's a plan design where if you follow the system, you're gonna have success. And just hearing, you know, we're all hearing stuff. It's just a matter of taking 1 or 2 points and taking action, like you said before the call. And a lot of times we just want to gather, we're information gatherers, but we don't turn that information into action. And when we do turn it into action, there's a level of confidence and excitement that reignites inside what we do every single day. Because quite honestly, making phone calls every day may not be the most exciting thing that we do in a given day, but closing on the appointment, asking the tough questions, going to knock on a door that perhaps we may have not done, you know, things like that is what really builds up the confidence and the enthusiasm in what we do. So 90-day production plan.
Love it. Good job, Miguel. Thank you for sharing. What else did we learn today? Who's next? Raise a hand, speak out.
You know, Neil, what I got out of this was she's so matter of fact, so absolute in the basics that, I mean, she said a couple different times, well, yeah, I follow the script. It says this, I do this, I send out the pre-listing, like, it's just a matter of fact. There's no wavering with her. And based on the way I guess what I'm saying is based on the way she answers, you know, she wasn't just answering it with what you wanted to hear.
Right.
Like I believe that she sends out a pre-listing package every single time. And I believe she pre-qualifies every single time. And isn't it interesting that just following that basic system, she's going to take 140 deals and she closes 98.6% of her listing appointments. Oh my God.
You think maybe that's a indicator of something some of us should follow?
Well, here's what I wrote down as she said that. You do this really well, and I apologize. I know I'm going a little long here, but you talk about all the time of you should pre-qualify because the other agent's going to do it, not going to do it. So you're already one step ahead. If you send a pre-listing package and the other agent doesn't do it, you're 2 steps ahead. And then if you show up or if you call back and confirm, then you're 3 steps ahead. You show up earlier. By the time you walk in the door, you're 4 or 5 steps ahead of the other agent, that the other agent literally has to do something astronomically amazing to beat you.
That's exactly correct.
And I think she, just by following that system, she probably walks in and is exactly that. She's 4 or 5 steps ahead, that it's almost impossible to beat her.
Right. What a great point.
Neil, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry, I am on my boat and I'm not showing my face.
Why? Is it all
because
red?
There's a Mai Tai next to it.
Last
a good
night,
idea.
I'm talking to Josie. Excuse me, Josie. I'm talking to Josie. And she says, you want to see where I'm at? And I said, sure. And she sends me a picture. I guess there's a webcam that overlooks 2 harbors in Canalita and can see all the boats 24 hours a day, what's down there, right? But it's high on the hill. So she sends me this picture and she says, I'm the 2nd sailboat from blah, blah, blah. I'm waving at you. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Anyway, Captain Josie,
this is a teaching moment. She says she does not include the CMA in her pre-list package for sale by owners, but probably not for anybody. That's different than what we do.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So that was interesting. I mean, I was very pleasantly impressed with her, Debbie. I've seen her for years. She's really, just basic stuff. Great.
There's nothing, you know what I learned, Josie? There's nothing special about special people.
Yeah. Great.
They're just, they just do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And that makes them very special. And that's all we have to do. Baby steps consistently, not giant steps occasionally. Okay, thanks, Josie. Anyone else have anything they want to share about what they learned today? So in the chat box, I put this in there this morning. I came across this a few days ago, and I'd like to read it to you. Don't listen, but I do highly recommend you copy and paste it and put it somewhere, because this is really, really important thinking. What great accomplishments we'd have in the world if everyone had done what they intended to do. Most people don't act as quickly as they should on things. They find themselves subject to the laws of diminishing intent, which says the longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater the odds that you will never actually do it. You need to start now. You need to start now. So, Miguel,
yep.
You decided to take action, you printed it out, and you started to take action. I challenge every single one of you. Doesn't matter what you learned today, just take action with it right away, today, right now. Take action.
That's such an amazing quote there, Neil.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Thank you. See, I'm just not another pretty face.
No.
I've been telling you guys this. I know stuff. All right, that's it. I don't have anything else except to turn off the recording.